red zone other than field goals. They essentially moved the ball all over the place against the Eagles. They've essentially moved the ball all over the place against the Giants. But for some crazy reason, cannot seem to punch the ball across the goal line. And it's, the object in the NFL is to score points. So I don't understand why, you know, this team, obviously Steven Jackson has been out. And in fact, his first touch of the season, he took it to the house, which was extremely impressive against the Eagles. But, you know, the game is what the game is. And unfortunately, now there's this new rule going to be passed in the NFL where, I guess the Rams are accusing the Giants of faking injuries so they can, stop their no-huddle offense. In a way, I kind of think it's kind of cheesy, but everybody fakes injuries to stop teams who run no-huddle offenses. And, hopefully, the Giants aren't denying it. But, you got to score touchdowns. You can't use any excuses when you have moved the ball like they do. Bradford is showing that last year was not a fluke and that he is the real deal. And, hopefully, they have a tough one this week, against the Ravens. And so, hopefully this week they'll put the ball in the end zone. But, again, that's the purpose of the game. And we're going to take our first phone call. Thank you for calling 89.7 KLAS FM. This is Richard Harris. How can I help you?
David from New York.
Hey, it's David Carrots with our fantasy football picks of the week. So, David, let the listeners know what your thoughts are.
Well, I think fantasy, if you're, most people that are in fantasy leagues right now have got the basics down. I think you know that if you've got a top 5, top 10 defense, you're starting them, top 5, top 10 running back. Those are the obvious picks. But what really wins fantasy leagues are when you go beyond the obvious and you go to the second level. Here are the guys I have to start, maybe because I have an injured running back, or maybe my defense is playing the best, highest scoring team in the league, which might be Carolina at this point. But, let's start with defense.
All right.
Again, you start in the Jets if you have the Jets. They're going to go nuts this week. But one of the teams that you might have or might be available, more importantly, on the waiver wire is the Redskins.
Against the Cowboys.
That's right, going against the Cowboys. Normally you wouldn't think about that. But when you take a closer look, Cowboys are reeling right now. I mean, you got to follow these injuries every single day, because every single day after the teams train and practice, they send out their reports. Reporters are saying what they're seeing on the field. You got to listen out for that. Right now, the Cowboys, their top 2 wide receivers are injured. They're going with 2 receivers that you may or may not have even heard of in Holly and Ogletree. So you got to believe, even though Holly had an impressive debut last week, those are not the guys that Romo's used to playing with. And talk about Romo, we're not even 100% sure that he's going to play. Good injury report on him today, but you're not sure. You got to keep your ears out come this weekend. And then finally, at the running back spot, it's already sort of a weak team as far as running back by committee. Now Jones might be out, so that's a team that's really reeling. Got the Redskins D going against them. Pick them up now and start them.
Okay. And now who's the player that we should play this week?
I'm thinking guys like Antonio Gates and like Wes Welker. Now, Antonio Gates is an interesting situation. Most leagues that are out there, Gates was the first tight end that went.
Right.
Most leagues, whoever picked Gates probably picked him too soon. They went out, they said, I want to get the number 1, and they grabbed him. And he hasn't rewarded fantasy owners at all. What I will say is that because he's got the foot injury, you got to keep your ear to the rail on that one as well. It's before game time, out there on the field, he's practicing. The reports come in from the team that he's going to play a role. You got to start a guy like that. What happens with most teams in the NFL that affects fantasy is that when a guy gets shut down as a superstar one week, if that team loses, which is what happened last week to San Diego.
Yeah, he was invisible last week against the Patriots.
Absolutely invisible. The Patriots double-teamed him. There might have been some of the foot issues. We're not really sure there. But when a team gets shut out like that, and they go into the film room and they say, what did we do wrong? Well, our number 1 guy, the number 1 tight end in the league, didn't catch a pass.
Right.
They go out of their way to make sure he does it the next. A little dicey because of the injury. Wes Welker's another guy that I like. The Patriots, offensive machine, lots of weapons, kind of scary. You never know which one's going to go off week to week. But Aaron Hernandez is out. That means that everyone that's remaining is going to get increased looks. And, in situations like this last year, they went to the safety blanket. And the safety blanket in that offense is Wes Welker. So expect like about 12 catches from the guy. I mean, I'm not even exaggerating. He has been known to go off for those multiple catches. Really great in leagues that reward point per reception.
And who is the player that we should sit?
I don't like Job at best. I think that he's got a few problems. Mainly Kevin Williams coming back, going up against Kevin Williams and that minute. It's the Minnesota line. I believe he's going against Minnesota this week.
That's correct.
Yeah. So last week, Detroit drubs Kansas City. Nothing surprising there. 48-3. A game like that where it's 48-3, start handing the ball off. Your running backs, the first string and the second string, should be getting tons of yardage. Guy ends the game with 57 yards.
Right.
Randy, he caught a few in the air, but they're not giving it to him in garbage time. When they give it to him when his counting's not going off, his numbers are down. So I think the combination of him just basically not getting the ball as much and not being as effective with it, and going up against Kevin Williams in that line, it's Williams' first game, so he's probably going to be pretty amped. I don't think he's a good start.
Well, thank you very much for your fantasy picks of this week, and we will talk to you next week at this time.
Always a pleasure, Rich.
Take care, David. 89.7 KLAS FM. That's our fantasy picks of this week. And we'll be doing it every week with David. David plays fantasy football, been playing it for years. Thought he brought up some very interesting and very smart points in the fact that, the Chargers are going to force the ball to Gates more because against the Patriots last week, they really could have used him in certain situations. In fact, we're about to talk about the Chargers in the bad section here because how do you move the ball up and down the field against the Patriots like you did last week and lose? How do you on 4th and 1 have a running back that's, 245 pounds and he's dancing instead of running forward? Tolbert is a good player, and I like what he's brought to the Chargers over the past few years, but you got to run the ball straight ahead. And if he ran that ball play side when the score was 20-14, he gets the first down. And I guarantee you, Antonio Gates sat in the film room this week and said, "Yo, Phillip, throw me the darn ball." Wes Welker will catch a lot of passes this week because they're going to have to keep up scoring with the Bills. The Bills are not going to back off trying to score against this Patriot team, so I completely agree with that. And who knows, maybe that's what the Vikings need on defense because they're my third bad team of the week. I don't understand how you have a 17-point lead at home against Tampa Bay and you're playing great. Adrian Peterson's got 100-plus yards rushing. You're doing all the things that Viking football is supposed to be about, and you still lose the game. Josh Freeman, he's got a lot of Joe Montana in him. He knows how to come from behind. He doesn't fear it. He takes any deficit, and he plays hard. And LeGarrette Blount is showing Tampa Bay, a lot of respect for drafting him after all his problems at Oregon. The Vikings might need both the Williams brothers, to come in and put a stop to all this nonsense because essentially they have no leaders right now. And essentially 2 weeks in a row where they've literally outplayed the Chargers, they've outplayed Tampa Bay, and they're 0-2. Donovan McNabb, you're better than this. It's time for you to take the reins of this team and let this team know that they cannot win playing the way they're playing. And so it's time to put up or shut up, or there's going to be that rookie playing before the rest of the season's over. And we'll be back to talk more bad in sports on 89.7 KLES FM after